D-Reaper is going to be one of the cheapest and most played decks this format. And while Mother D-Reaper cannot be affected by card effects, it can still be attacked. There are only a handful of tactics to really counter D-Reaper, but I'll be going over that in tomorrow's Tactical Tuesday episode. Today's episode will focus on an updated Tribal Greymon build for EX2, and shifts from one build to another. And if you enjoy these types of videos, do consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting that notification bell for more of my future content. While my control and aggro variants had more memory control, over time I've grown to love Hiro Amanakawa. This tamer is perfect for what you want to do, especially against D-Reaper. As always, I'll go over the card by card, the strengths, the weaknesses, and the combos. This deck runs 5 level 2s, 13 level 3s, 11 level 4s, 8 level 5s, 6 level 6s, 5 option cards, and 7 tamers. For level 2s, this deck runs 1 Koromon and 4 Greymon. Koromon is generically great for your Digimon that have Greymon or Omnimon in their names. But as you can see, this build does not run any Omnimons for the fact that we want to utilize BT8-Greymon's effect as much as possible. Because of this, Greymon is arguably the best red egg for generic draw power. This deck is very tight on space in what your ratios are, and because of this, you'll want to maximize your draw and search power as much as possible. You could run substitutes like Yokomon for the plus 1000 DP buff when you swing into your opponent's Digimon, or Gigimon for the generic plus 1000 DP buff if your opponent has 5 cards in their trash. But finding your pieces and climbing to Blackwargreymon is top priority. For level 3s, this deck runs strictly Agumons. In previous builds, I utilized 3 to 4 copies of the Black Agumon, but because I'm going more heavy on the red aspect this time, I definitely want to be able to Digivolve over that Agumon, and with only 4 options, I'd rather not brick on the climb up. Instead, 4 copies of BT5 Agumon now, even though I will miss the extra potential +1 draw with Omnimon. 1 Promo 1 Agumon for the on-play deletion effect of a Digimon with 3000 DP or less, 4 MVP Promo Agumons that give plus 2000 DP if your Digimon has Greymon in its name, and the Starter Deck 1 Agumon for the generic plus 1000 DP buff. I don't like Starter Deck 7 Agumon for the fact that your DP buff is only granted by swinging into the security. True, you can swing into the security and get the plus 2000 DP buff, but then you need to somehow get Blackwargreymon unsuspended for the second swing. Removal wise, there isn't a lot of cheap removal, so rather than trying to get there with extra steps, we're disregarding that Agumon altogether. Not a lot of other substitutes unless you want the Agumon from BT1 for Tamer Search or the EX1 Agumon for Tamer Search and Agumon Search. Personally in playtesting, you don't need that many Tamers. With such a high count, you typically find them. At the same time, you're more prone to bottom deck your Greymon pieces that are more important to get to. With level 4s, this deck runs 4 BT8-Greymon, 3 BT5 Greymon, 2 Starter Deck 1 Greymon, and 2 Geo-Greymon. BT8-Greymon can Digivolve from any of your level 3s, and at the same time provides your Digimon with inheritable blocker if the Digimon is red. Its base DP is also high enough to go into security if you're looking to draw more cards with Greymon, and you can even recycle this from your trash with Chimeramon. BT5 Greymon has been bumped up as well for the fact that you need that extra DP to get over Mother D-Reaper. With Promo Agumon and this Greymon, you are at a base 16,000 DP threshold for killing Mother and staying alive. 2 copies of Starter Deck Greymon for the extra security checks for the aggro aspect, and 2 Geo-Greymons from the starter deck for body removal and an additional body to climb into Chimeramon for free. Again, not a whole lot to substitute. As you can see, I have completely removed all Cyclone Mons in the deck. While it's nice to get that deletion of a Digimon with 2000 DP or less, I do think that unless you can Chimeramon and DP reduce, it's not a consistent combat trick. DP buffs, again, were prioritized. I'd love to see more Dragonkin Digimon that are in the red and black family, but we'll have to wait on that. For level 5s, this deck runs 4 BT8 Metal Greymon, 1 Metal Greymon Alteros mode, 1 EX1 Metal Greymon, and 2 Chimeramon. BT8 Metal Greymon is the MVP of your level 5s, for the fact that he provides you the inheritable to attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon, but only if that Digimon attacking is Machine or Dragonkin. Additionally, On Digivolve, you do get to de-Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon and then kill something that's 3000 DP or less. Chimeramon for the free DNA Digivolution with your Geo Greymon and pinging your opponent of 2000 or 3000 DP. EX1 Metal Greymon for the Digivolution from red or black, and also give inheritable piercing. And the one copy of Metal Greymon Alteros mode for another plus 2000 DP buff. In another worst case scenario, say your opponent has a Digimon with 15,000 DP, but your only level 6 option is Wargreymon. If you have the memory, you can Digivolve or DNA Digivolve into Chimeramon and place the Metal Greymon Alteros mode underneath it to give your Wargreymon an extra plus 2000 DP. This also helps if you don't have Hero on the field. I had considered 2 copies of this Metal Greymon, but with BT8-Greymon it makes my transition not as clean. For level 6s, this deck runs 6 in the form of 4 BT8 Blackwargreymon, 1 BT1 Wargreymon, and 1 EX1 Wargreymon. Blackwargreymon is the primary level 6 Digimon for Digimon deletion, Tamer destruction, and being able to unsuspend for potentially 2 body deletions. BT1 Wargreymon for the option card negation, and the EX1 Wargreymon for consistent blocker deletion while you have a Tamer in play. Only potential substitutes here would be BT2 Blackwargreymon, but this heavily relies on you having a black base for Chimeramon and or BT8 Metal Greymon. It cannot Digivolve from EX1 Metal Greymon or Metal Greymon Alteros mode, but adjust your top line as you please. There are no level 7s in this deck, because you want to maintain the level 6 Digimon state for Blackwargreymon, swinging into your opponent's Digimon. Otherwise, Metal Greymon is just a dead inheritable. While Blitz Omnimon is an option possible for ending the game, Blackwargreymon tends to play more control. For option cards, this deck runs 5 in the form of 3 Breath of the Gods, 1 Dark Gaia Force, and 1 Red Memory Boost. Red Memory Boost for the fact that you have pretty much every card in the deck being red, and can potentially add you that Agumon or top line that you need. With Dark Gaia Force, playtesting at 2, I practically drew it every game, and sometimes felt that I couldn't play it. Don't get me wrong, it's amazing removal, but I feel it's more of a one-of at this point like Chaos Degradation. Which takes the last 3 option cards to Breath of the Gods, for rebooting your Blackwargreymon into a potential blocker, or stopping your opponent from attacking you altogether. You could run 4 copies of this instead of Dark Gaia Force, but some removal for bigger threats is also nice if you can't get to your level 6 early game. For Tamers, this deck runs 3 Hero Amanakawa for the memory fixing, and additional DP when swinging with a Digimon that's Gamamon or level 5 or higher, which can be applied to any Digimon as long as you meet the conditions. As for Nokia Shiromine, this Tamer is here for reducing your Greymon costs and playing Agumons for free. For strengths and weaknesses, here are the strengths. You have high DP thresholds that can pretty much swing over anything, and you have a great aspect of control whether it be on the board or force your opponent to stay in the raise while setting up another Blackwargreymon play. But weakness-wise, this deck can generally be out-aggroed by faster decks like Imperial Dramon. RNG here is going to be your friend or enemy. Further weaknesses of this variant don't have as much protection against option cards with BT1 Wargreymon, since you're only running 1 copy. As a result, Breath of the Gods is also useful as a defensive option card, but only if you have a black source to use it, which predominantly falls on Blackwargreymon. For combos, this deck's combos are very simple and linear. Flipping your eggs, you go into any of your Agumons, preference being the promo buff or starter deck. Optimize your plays because you want to hand over as little memory as possible. Digivolving in the raise might be beneficial to push your opponent to 2 memory, in which they'll counter you back by going either Rookie, Champion, and Ultimate to set you to 3 memory. The counter choke can continue by placing a memory fixer hero out or even a Nokia with an Agumon, and free search for passing back 1 and keeping the choke game up. Assuming they don't check GeoGreymon into security, you can evo both your level 4s now into a Chimeramon to drop their Digimon's DP by 3000. If they sent Metal Greymon to the trash, even better, as you'll get to attack their unsuspended Digimon with a Wargreymon next turn, or this turn if you have Blitz Wargreymon. But optimally, you'll want to Digivolve into Blackwargreymon to start beating over all their Digimon. And your Digimon is also a blocker, plus 2000 DP, and can swing into their unsuspended Digimon. This makes your board control very strong while they have to sit back in the raise, fearful of losing their Digimon. Blackwargreymon is arguably one of the best decks to counter Mother D-Reaper. But don't worry, I have a few other decks in the pipeline right now that I'll be showcasing with EX2's release. Check them out on a weekly basis. This is Digi-Panda, logging out.